What's up, everyone? It's the Autistic Scyther here, and what if you were a Pokemon gym leader? Granted, that's the series I'm doing, and thus far, we've taken a look at two different gyms. The two different types that basically I would basically become if I was a gym leader. Those being the spooky ghost types, and the powerful, yet macho and valiant fighting types. But in all fairness, when it comes down to it, there's one type that honestly has cemented itself as one of the best types. Defensively, if I may add. And that's Steel. While it was introduced in Generation 2, alongside the Dark type due to, how overpowered the Psychic type is, we've seen a lot of attention being given to the Steel type, as basically, thus far we have seen 3 different gym leaders in Jasmine, Byron, and Peony, 4 Elite Four members in Wickstrom, Molayne, Poppy, and Amaris, an evil team leader, if you can call Chairman Rose that, and a champion in Steven Stone. So basically, Steel type has its chops. But that being said, as much as I've noticed, I've taken a notice how Steel types run the gamut in terms of battle. While they have different roles that they make use of, especially if you've seen in competitive battle, they've mostly been seen as defensive, while also having some strong types of aspects. So, for my own Steel type gym, I decided to basically do a little challenge and not limit myself to the more common Steel types that you see in these types of gyms. So basically, you won't see me using Steelix, Magnezone, or any member of the Magnemite line, any member of the Beldum line, the Cufant line, or Corviknight. Or Skarmory, just to say the least, but that's naturally a reason. And in this case, my Steel type gym is a little different. First off, my gym is like around, how should I say, 6th or 7th. I get it, 6, 7. But I'm not making a reference to the meme. In this case, my gym's around middle to late game, like around the 6th gym or the 7th gym. Just like, Jasmine or Byron, to an extent. And in this case, they'd be pretty powerful. However, that being said, when you come to the gym town, you notice my gym, the town or city where my gym is basically just a bustling city, full of many different workers who's rushing to their day-to-day lives, largely from their 9-to-5 jobs in finance. And in the middle of the city, you see this huge hulking building. Or huge hulking bank building. This is my gym. And, for those that don't already know, think about, it's kind of similar to, it's kind of similar to the bank dungeon in Persona 5. I forgot that guy's name, but it's kind of similar to his dungeon, minus the Piggytron. And when you enter into the building, you basically see different stations. And within it, there are stations. It's basically focusing more on that dreaded subject, math. Yeah, you're basically, at each station, you're asked a question. And basically dealing with prices. Specifically, prices of items throughout the region. Such as how many Pokeballs would you get for 2,000 Poke? And basically, it's kind of like for one of the math questions in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Or basically, what do you get when you sell a big nugget in shops? That sort of thing. Mostly, you're going to have to, in order to do this, hopefully you're buying items or selling them, because you're going to know a lot about that. And basically, if you get them right, you get to go through. But if you get them wrong, then you have to face off again in a battle against the clerk. And they are back in some serious steel-type heat. Basically, you're focusing on Pokemon like Lairon, Honedge, Doublade, Ferroseed, Tinkatuff, Mawile, and Durant. Pokemon that are not as durable as the others, but can still be pretty powerful when need be. After either battling each of the trainers at each of the stations, in this case, there will be like 4 or 5 in all, or essentially answering each of those questions correctly, you'll end up making it to the final room where you basically come across me at a desk. Basically just seemingly counting money, or just sitting there. Almost like Gendo Ikari from Neon Genesis Evangelion. I stand up and I say, I've been watching you. I've been watching you, kid. You have a shrewd business sense that I haven't seen since I was your age. However, this business world isn't so merciful. It can chew you up and spit you out in an instant. Let's see how you can handle that pressure. And with that, the battle begins. Starting off first, I start this one off by sending out for my first Pokemon, a level 38 Klefki. Now, I'm not sure if anyone has played competitive, but I think any competitive player knows why Klefki would start this battle out. Prankster. Yeah, that's right. This Klefki is a prankster Klefki. And it's there just to set up hazards. And it makes very noticeable use of this, as it not only has access to the move Spikes, but also Thunder Wave to essentially paralyze your opponent and more or less paralyze your Pokemon and protect them from moving. Of course, if you have a berry on your side and you decide to basically heal off that paralysis before possibly dealing a status move or a paralysis move to Klefki and Spades, yeah, it has access to Recycle to basically take your berry into its own into its own, to bring back your berry and have it working for it. And finally, flash cannon as a stab move. Yeah, so it's basically going to be there for statuses and setting up hazards. While, of course, basically using recycle to reuse your berry any berry that you may have used during the battle, plus flash cannon for stab. Of course, if you end up taking out Klefki, I send out my second Pokemon, a level 42 Bisharp. And oh boy, yeah, this thing has the ability Defiant. So basically, if you have any Pokemon that can lower any of its stats, yeah, you're going to have a bad time, because its attack is going to be sharply raised 2 steps. So, yeah. And not only that, it has access to the move Swords Dance to raise its attack even further, Metal Sound to lower your stats, and of course both the moves Night Slash and Flash Cannon for stab. Yeah. Pretty solid. But you defeat Bisharp. And of course, for my third Pokemon, I send in Mawile. A level 41 Mawile to be exact. With the move Hyper Cutter. And a lot of people tend to essentially discount Mawile because it's not good without its Mega. However, this Mawile is definitely going to be packing, since Hyper Cutter prevents its attack stat from being lowered. So, yeah, there's that. But it also has access to the moves Taunt to basically prevent your Pokemon from setting up, Iron Defense to raise its own defenses, Rock Tomb to basically lower your speed, as well as adding in some coverage if you brought in a fire type. Because again, yeah, if you decided to bring a fire type, yeah, that's gonna be trouble for my steel type. So Rock Tomb's just basically a little insurance. And Flash Cannon as stab. Of course, if you beat it, then I send in my final. Then I basically say, no, not yet. My reign isn't ending here. And I send out my ace, a level 45 Goldengo that I terrestrialize into the steel type, gaining access to one of its most notable types. And even though Goldengo's steel ghost type, steel terra type is always seemingly enough the best type for it. Plus it has access to the ability Good as Gold to prevent it from being affected by status effects. Not only that, but it also has access to the moves Confuse Ray to confuse your Pokemon, Recover to heal itself up of any damage that it took, as well as the moves Shadow Ball and Flash Cannon for stab. But you defeat it! And with that, I end up saying, that was impressive. I see I've made some fine investments in your team to allow you to get this far. Very well. Accept this badge as proof of your fruitful efforts. And take this TM as well. I believe it will serve you on your journey. And with that, you gain access to the Ingot Badge and the TM for Flash Cannon, as I send you on your way to your 8th and final gym battle. Well, or 7th, depending. And with that is what I would be as a Steel type gym leader. Like, comment, subscribe, join my Patreon if you want to. You don't have to, but it's there if you want to. And see you next time, everyone.